Yeah, I mean, this is a story that just gets more strange with every passing charge that's laid here. We have now a third Ukrainian who has been charged in connection with a conspiracy to commit arson and endanger life, all linked to property that is linked to the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. And in court today was Petro Pochinok, 34-year-old from Holloway Road in North London. He is now standing accused alongside Stanislav Karpiuk and Roman Lavronovich, all three men, all Ukrainians, charged with this conspiracy that resulted from a number of firebomb attacks, one on the 12th of May at the family home of Sir Keir Starmer in Kentish Town, a fire that was confined to the doorway of that address and quickly extinguished by the fire service. But 4 days before that, a car that the Prime Minister used to own but then sold to a neighbour in that same street as his home address, that was firebombed. And then a day before the fire in Kentish Town, an address linked to the Prime Minister more than 2 decades ago, an address that he used to own, was again firebombed. A similar attack to the one in Kentish Town, confined to the doorway. A resident of that property had to be rescued by the fire service, but luckily was uninjured. All three of these men who stand accused of this conspiracy to commit arson have been remanded into custody. They will all appear at the Central Criminal Court for their first Crown Court appearance. That's the Old Bailey on the 6th of June.
A third man has been arrested in connection with attacks on 2 properties and a car linked to Sir Keir Starmer. The 34-year-old is being held on suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson with intent to endanger life. 2 other men, a 26-year-old and a 21-year-old Ukrainian national, are also in custody.
It started like something out of a crime drama. 1 fire on a quiet North London street, odd. 2, alarming. 3, now we're in full-blown political thriller territory. And here's the twist. All the damaged properties had ties to Keir Starmer. Not government offices, not Labour HQ, personal addresses. That's when the tone shifted. From maybe it's just teenagers with matches to okay, who's trying to send a message to the Prime Minister? Now, police aren't just dealing with burnt buildings, they're mapping timelines, cross-referencing foreign nationals and asking themselves the kind of questions MI5 usually handles. Because this isn't just about property damage, it's about pressure points. In a country already tense about protests, elections, and which minister just embarrassed themselves on live TV, the last thing anyone expected was a slow-burning arson plot creeping into the Prime Minister's old neighbourhood. Is this just an overcooked prank with terrible timing, or something far more calculated, creeping through the cracks of national security? Either way, no one's calling it a coincidence anymore. Just when it seemed like this case had hit peak chaos, it took an even...
This case just gets all the more strange with every passing charge that we hear about. This is Stanislav...
darker turn, because the suspects didn't stay silent. They started talking, and they weren't just pointing fingers at each other. They named someone else, a fourth figure, a shadowy presence they claim was pulling the strings. If their claims are true, this isn't just arson, it's something far more explosive. A plot with a mastermind still lurking in the background. What started as scattered acts of vandalism now looks more like a coordinated strike campaign. And the implications? Huge. We're no longer talking about petty crime or local unrest. This case could redefine how Britain views political threats in an age where loyalties blur across borders, where fire can be weaponized without a single shot fired. This wasn't a lucky bust. Police followed a trail, one that was deliberate, chilling, and clear. And at the end of that trail were 3 men. Foreign nationals, different countries, different stories, but somehow working in unison, focused, organized, almost like they'd trained for it. Now the real question is, who gave the order? Let's talk about the men at the center of it all. Hest Roman Levinovich.
This case just gets all the more strange with every passing charge that we hear about. This is Stanislav Karpiuk, who is a Ukrainian, born in Ukraine, but raised for at least part of the time in Romania. He's a Romanian national in that sense, but has been living for a number of years in the UK, currently addressed in Romford in East London. He is charged alongside another Ukrainian, Roman Lavranovich, who appeared in court last Friday. They are both charged with a series of firebomb attacks on properties linked to Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. One of those firebomb attacks was on a property in Kentish Town, confined to the entrance to that property and quickly dealt with. That was on the 12th of May. 4 days before that, he had, or 4 days before that, another piece of property, a car this time, that was linked to Keir Starmer previously. He had sold that to a neighbour on that same street in Kentish Town, was set ablaze. And then a day before the Kentish Town house fire, another property that was owned by Sir Keir Starmer 2 decades ago was set fire as well, and someone had to be rescued from the property in that time, but were uninjured. So yeah, a strange case, no idea yet on the possible motivation, just that 2 Ukrainians have been charged. A third man, a 34-year-old who was arrested in Chelsea yesterday, is still being questioned by police.
Just 21 years old, hailing from Ukraine. Then Stanislav Karpiak, 26, a Romanian national. And finally, Petra Pokian, 34, also Ukrainian. Together, they're now locked up, accused of launching a calculated wave of fire attacks across the capital. But before the trial could even begin, the case already started going sideways. 2 suspects appeared via video link, streamed from a high-security facility, but one man, Petro Pochino, refused to leave his cell. No reason, no statement. Just a no-show at his own court appearance, leaving the judge visibly irritated and courtroom whispers flying. That moment shifted everything. This wouldn't be a standard criminal case. No smooth legal proceedings, no neat resolutions. The stage was set for something far messier and far more serious, because the charges go way beyond arson. Investigators aren't just dealing with scorched buildings. They believe these fires were carefully staged acts of intimidation, not random, not rushed. Each attack was spaced out over weeks, timed and placed with unsettling precision. Every site had symbolic meaning, every date felt charged. This wasn't destruction for fun. This was a signal. It started quietly. April 17th, a suspicious fire in a quiet London neighbourhood. No breaking news banner.
Police and fire investigators have been here gathering evidence, and a 21-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of arson with intent to endanger life in connection with all 3 fires. The first fire began on Thursday, the 8th of May. Firefighters were seen tackling a blazing car here on a residential street in North London. The vehicle has been owned by the Prime Minister's family, and it happened just a few doors down from his family's home. 3 days later, another fire, this time in Islington, just 3 miles from where the first blaze took place, at a property also connected to the PM. Then on Monday morning, a suspected arson attack on the property owned by Sir Keir Starmer in Kentish Town. It's where he lived before moving to Downing Street when he became Prime Minister. Scorch marks are clearly visible on the brickwork around the porch. Fortunately, no one has been injured, but counter-terrorism police are leading the investigation. A 21-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of arson with intent to endanger life in relation to all 3 fires.
No media frenzy, just smoke, sirens, and a few raised eyebrows. But that was just the beginning. By May, the fires escalated, and fast. On May 8th, a vehicle went up in flames in Kentish Town, the same neighbourhood where Prime Minister Keir Starmer once lived. Then, on May 11th, a converted flat in Islington caught fire. And just 1 day later, May 12th delivered the biggest shock yet. Starmer's former residence was allegedly targeted in the dead of night. 3 attacks, 5 days, all linked to one man, the UK's sitting Prime Minister. These weren't government offices, they weren't official properties, they were private homes, intimate, personal spaces. And that's what's made this more than just a criminal investigation and is now a national security crisis, because this wasn't just fire, it was symbolism, intimidation, a message meant to be heard in the halls of power. Ow! Here's where it gets even more surreal. Despite the gravity of these attacks, justice is crawling forward. The suspects were charged this spring, but the next hearing, not until October 17th. And the trial, April 27th, 2026. That's almost 2 full years to wait while the legal system prepares for what many are calling one of the most politically sensitive cases in recent memory. And by the time that courtroom opens its doors, the country may have changed. There could be a new prime minister, a new government, a new climate altogether. But the charges will remain: coordinated attacks on homes tied to the man who once led the nation. This case isn't just about reckless damage anymore. Prosecutors are going for the jugular, arguing that this wasn't just destruction for destruction's sake. They're calling it intentional, deliberate, dangerous. That alone vaults it out of vandalism territory. And
a fourth person has just been arrested in connection to the arson attacks on Prime Minister Rodney's properties. The police say the 48-year-old man was arrested and detained at Stansted Airport. They also go on to say that he was initially stopped by officers under the Terrorism Act, before then being arrested on suspicion of conspiracy to commit arson with intent to endanger life. They have not yet released the information of where this 48-year-old man is initially from. Is he from Ukraine like the others? Well, I think they're kind of claiming one of them was Romanian, but he also had a Ukrainian citizenship. But what is going on behind this? The 3 men are due to reappear in court, I think, on the 6th of June. Will we find more details then as to what has led to all of this? What's behind all of this? Many people saying and believing that Rodney had some sort of relationship with one of them, the initial attacker or the initial suspect. Let's wait and see. Give it a couple of days. The other 3 suspects are back in court. Let's see what information comes to light. I personally think they're going to cover this up in some way, shape or form, especially if he's got any connection to any of the 3 or 4 blokes that have been arrested on it. Just know they'll fucking cover it up, for fuck's sake.
Straight into something far more chilling, an open assault on public safety and possibly the political system itself. And the timeline? Long and winding, yes. But every extra day only underlines how seriously investigators are treating this. Phone records, travel logs, hidden conversations, everything is now evidence. And if it turns out this was part of something bigger, the fallout won't just be a few orange jumpsuits. It could rattle institutions. Then came the twist nobody saw coming. Just when authorities thought they'd closed the circle, a 4th man, completely off the radar, was quietly arrested at Stansted Airport. No chase, no disguises. Just a calm walk to the gate, cut short by counter-terror officers. The suspect is 48, no name released, but timing is everything. His arrest came days after the others were charged. Was he trying to escape? Was he sent to clean something up, or was it just the world's worst timed holiday? Either way, he's not flying anywhere now. He's out on bail, tagged, watched, and scheduled to face the courts in July. And if he thought he was walking away from this, he may have just stepped into the deepest legal trap of his life. This isn't some isolated firebug story anymore. Every new development peels back another layer, and what's underneath is starting to look like coordinated sabotage. Muss out, and it's terrifying. These weren't just torch jobs on random properties. These were deliberate strikes on buildings tied to Britain's Prime Minister. This case isn't just criminal, it's a national security alarm bell. And the fact that some suspects are foreign nationals, that adds geopolitical heat to an already boiling investigation. With Romanian and Ukrainian links now confirmed, questions are flying. Was this local chaos with foreign roots, or foreign chaos disguised as local unrest? And how did this get so far without anyone noticing? Then there's the most ominous part, the whisper of a puppet master. Someone else. Still unnamed, still out there. If these men were taking orders, we're no longer talking arson, we're talking political warfare. Still, despite the urgency, the courts are playing it by the book. Charges are filed, rights upheld, trials scheduled, due process remains. But even with courtroom calm, the national anxiety is real. How exposed are our leaders? How quickly could chaos spread in the hands of just a few? This wasn't an attack on policy. It was an attack on presence, on leadership, on stability, and we're not even close to the final chapter. The trial's nearly a year away. The list of suspects is growing, and every locked phone and seized laptop holds the potential to blow this story wide open. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates like this.